Timing matters in geopolitics. And right now, Canada's timing could not be worse. As the United States actively moves to push communist influence out of the Western Hemisphere, Prime Minister Mark Carney is preparing to fly to Beijing to deepen trade talks with the Chinese Communist Party. To critics, this isn't diplomacy, it's a dangerous signal to our allies, and to Beijing. What Carney is doing from January 13th to 17th, Carney will meet with Xi Jinping, Premier Li Qiang, and Chinese business leaders. The agenda includes trade, energy, agriculture, and security. It will be the first Canadian prime ministerial visit to China since 2017. On paper, that sounds routine. But the geopolitical context tells a very different story, the timing issue. According to Chinese-Canadian pro-democracy activist Sheng Zhu, the timing of this trip is deeply troubling. Why? Because Canada's closest ally, the United States, is doing the opposite. Just days ago, the U.S. launched a surprise operation in Venezuela capturing dictator Nicolas Maduro and extraditing him to face serious criminal charges. U.S. officials made their reasoning clear. They do not want hostile authoritarian regimes, China included, using the Western Hemisphere as an operating base. As U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio put it, Venezuela had become a hub for China, Russia, Iran, and other hostile actors. At that exact moment, Canada is heading to Beijing. Why this matters? Critics warn that this move undermines coordination with our closest ally. China has kept authoritarian regimes like Venezuela economically alive by buying oil, providing financing, and offering political cover. So when Canada moves closer to Beijing while the US is actively confronting Chinese influence, it sends a mixed and risky message. Sheng Zhu warns that Beijing will use Carney's visit as propaganda, portraying Canada as backing away from democratic principles in favor of pragmatic cooperation with the CCP. The economic reality check supporters argue this is about diversifying trade. But the numbers tell a different story. Roughly 67% of Canada's exports go to the United States. Only about 5% go to China. China is not Canada's economic lifeline, America is. And former diplomat Michael Kovrig warns that Beijing has a long track record of using trade as political leverage, not partnership. We've seen this before with the detention of Michael Spavor, election interference, intellectual property theft, and intimidation of diaspora communities. The bigger question: Canada's own Indo-Pacific strategy labels China an increasingly disruptive global power, so the question becomes simple. Why is Canada reaching out to Beijing at the exact moment the US is pushing back? Critics argue that real resilience comes from working with trusted democratic allies, not deepening economic dependence on a communist regime. In geopolitics, timing isn't everything, but sometimes it tells you exactly what side you're drifting toward.